Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. I'm Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Welcome to everyone on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here on our episode today of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today will be short and sweet in the spirit of the holidays. I know people are running around doing what they need to do to get ready. Christmas is this weekend. I'm filming this. It is the 22nd of December of 2022. And so welcome. Our theme today is, what are all the ways that you can legally travel to visit family for the holidays? Like, what are the ways to apply for travel documents? Like don't leave the U.S. without a travel document. And we'll want to discuss the different options that exist for people who are immigrants in the United States to leave the United States and be allowed to come back. Okay? So welcome, and thanks for being here. As always, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. And today, if you're just tuning in, our theme is, what are all the ways that you can legally travel to visit family for the holidays? All right, you might not be able to do it this year, but if you plan it, you could certainly do it next year, okay, depending on your type of case and depending on your situation. And so, do you have an immigration case? Do you have an immigration question? Are you undocumented and looking to come out of the shadows? Are you wanting to apply for a green card? Are you wanting to apply for some other type of immigration benefit? Because if so, I'd love to help you with that. And my firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years, and we'd love for your case to be one of them. So thank you for everyone who has asked questions, and I'll jump right into the topic, except beforehand, I do like to give a brief empowerment tip. All right, this is the Empowered Immigrant Live, so I want to give a little bit of an empowerment tip before we get into immigration law. All right, so my tip for today has to do with Christmas. Christmas is this weekend. All right. And so why do we give gifts at Christmas? Why do we, what is Christmas really about? What is the spirit of Christmas? All right? What I like to suggest today is that the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of whatever holiday you practice, perhaps the spirit of life is, maybe this is just my opinion, or maybe this is the way it is, the spirit of it is giving. Why do we give gifts at Christmas? To give, to be generous, to give to other people is a connection with life. All right? It's like a connection with our source, with like what is most fundamental to human beings, what it means to be alive. Right? Pass on some generosity. All right, so my task, my challenge to each of you listening right now is to be generous with yourself, with others this weekend. Give people your focus, your attention, your time, your energy, your spirit. Dare I say it, your love this weekend. Because that is what really matters. That is the way to live life and not just go through the motions. Okay? And so, treat this weekend, treat this time as an opportunity to connect to what life really is all about. Contributing, sharing, giving, connecting with life, with each other. I hope that you take that on, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas. And now I'll transition into my conversation about the law and then I'll open it up to any questions. So if you have a question about your immigration case, send it over, right? So the theme that I want to discuss about immigration law is, what are all the ways that you can legally travel to visit your family? What are all the ways that you could legally travel to visit your family for the holidays and then come back to the United States? It's like how to get a travel permit. That's really the question. And, the basics are, hey, if you're a U.S. citizen, you just go to the local post office and you apply for your U.S. passport, and the U.S. passport is your travel document. All right? And wherever you are in the world, you can come back to the U.S. and just show your U.S. passport. That's the power of a U.S. passport. All right? You don't have to worry about customs. I mean, yeah, there's declaring, and there's, if you lie to customs, you can be fined and things like that, but you will be welcomed back into the United States. If you've got a U.S. passport, this is your country, okay? The U.S. passport also, just so you know, gives you the right to use U.S. embassies throughout the world, which can be very powerful protection, if something bad were to happen in some part of the world. So you've got rights and freedoms as a U.S. citizen, and so that's like very basic. Other piece of kind of the truth and the way it works is, if you have a green card is a travel document, okay? So a green card gives you, it's built in, a travel permit, and you have the right to leave and to come back. Now, green cards, the best advice is if you're traveling to never leave for more than 180 days, all right, which you wouldn't need to if you're just going for the holiday season, but it's something to be aware of. But that green card, I mean, that's why a green card is so beneficial, right? It's so valuable, so beneficial. So people call my office every day asking, how do I get a green card? It's like it gives people the freedom to travel and to re-enter the U.S. Okay? The next thing is like a visa. Imagine you've got a visa in your passport. Well, a visa is also a travel document. It has more restrictions on it. It's not for any lawful purpose. It's for the specific purpose of the category of visa you've applied for, right? And it's temporary. It's not a permanent legal status like a green card. But it does give you the ability to leave and come back, all right? At least if it's a multiple entry visa. Double check the type of visa you have. But imagine you don't have a U.S. passport or a green card or a visa, then what? Imagine you're undocumented and you want to go visit your family for the holidays, then what? All right? Imagine you've got a work permit, perhaps because you're going through some legal process, but you don't have a green card yet. Then what? All right, what can you do? All right? Another thing that's important for me to say is that if you're an immigrant and you're going through a process, imagine you filed for an adjustment of status process, or imagine you filed a change of status process from one visa type to another, right? If you're in those types of processes and you leave the U.S., your case will be deemed abandoned. You'll have to start over, all right? Unless you first obtain what we'll talk about today, which is advanced parole, which is like the travel document to be able to leave and re-enter. And so, anyway, so if you're undocumented and if you don't have a visa or a green card or a U.S. passport, what are your options? What are they? Okay? Well, basically, if you don't have a passport or a current unexpired valid visa or green card, the only way to travel outside the U.S. and re-enter is if you first apply for a document called advanced parole. Okay? You want to leave the U.S., we've got to figure out a way to apply for advanced parole. And advanced parole is basically, like, parole is a type of permit to enter, all right? And you apply for it in advance, like in advance of your trip. And so, so for example, if you are applying for a green card, but you don't have it yet, that process is currently taking about 2 years, depending on where you are. But the process allows a person to apply for advanced parole while their process is pending so that people can leave with a travel document. Okay? Also, for example, like different immigration statuses allow people to request advanced parole. So for example, if you've won DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, this wasn't always the situation, but right now, as of today's filming, the 22nd of December 2022, right now, DACA recipients who have valid, unexpired, you've renewed your DACA and you're continuing to renew it, you can apply for advanced parole, a travel document, including to visit family, all right? And including for some other purposes too, for educational purposes or employment-related purposes, or if there's some other humanitarian reason, you can apply for advanced parole, get a travel document, leave, and come back. Okay? TPS, temporary protected status. If you have TPS, that's not a green card. It's basically just a work permit, but it gives you the option of applying separately for an advanced parole document. Don't leave the U.S. without applying for that advanced parole document. They don't have to let you back in. Okay? Also, for example, if you've won asylum, if you win asylum but you haven't won your green card yet, right? In fact, when you win asylum, you have to wait a year before you can even apply for your green card. So if you're in that situation but you've won asylum, you have the right to apply for what we call a refugee travel document. It's just like advanced parole for asylees. And it allows a person to leave the U.S. and then re-enter. And the advice must be said that if you won your case through asylum, please do not travel back to the country that you claimed asylum from, right? Asylum is like protection, saying you're afraid for your life to go back to your country. Don't use a travel document to go back to your country, right? That would cause all kinds of problems, including they could terminate your asylum status. So be cautious about that. That's about it. That's about it. All right? And so what's the bottom line? If you want a travel document, you've got to look for one of those options. Are you eligible for a green card? Are you eligible for a visa? Are you eligible for TPS? Are you eligible for asylum? Are you eligible for DACA? Right? Is there some immigration benefit that you could be eligible for that would enable you to request a travel document? That's the real question. That's the way to do it. Okay? And if you have that question, or if you're not sure, if you want to discuss your options, that's what a legal consultation is all about. That's what it's for. Okay? And I'd love to have, if it makes sense for you, I'd love to have my office help you with that, and we can do it. All right? Now, if you have those things, green card, or even a green card application pending, DACA, TPS, something like that, if you're eligible to apply for advanced parole, there is a way to apply for it in an emergency basis. So the emergency happens. We had a client that's going through this right now, and we're applying for emergency advanced parole. And, family member in home country sick and in the hospital. And it's like, okay, let's do what we need to do, right? Let's do what we need to do. And we'll request it on an emergency basis. It does not happen as fast as we all wish it were, right? but there is a way to, normally advanced parole takes 4 or 5 months to receive it. There is a way to request it in 1 to 2 weeks, all right? And so if you're eligible for it. Okay, so I've said a lot today. I've said a lot. Thanks for being here. The last thing that I need to say to wrap this theme up, is if you're undocumented and you're not eligible for these types of travel documents, the best advice is to not leave the U.S. And the reason is because the way immigration law works is if you're undocumented, it means you've been accruing unlawful presence in the United States. And the way it works is if you've got more than 365 days of unlawful presence and then you leave without advance parole, you trigger a 10-year bar, inadmissibility for 10 years. And that's a pretty serious, very serious prohibition on re-entering the U.S. So it's like, yeah, if you are not eligible for some kind of travel document, legal document to allow you to leave and come back, the best advice is don't do it. All right? You know, unless you understand, or unless you're done with the U.S., right? That's, you know, we've had clients that, you know, knowingly, fine, I'm leaving, and I know I'm going to be gone for 10 years. Hey, I'm not coming back. That's different, right? But if you plan on re-entering the U.S. or applying for some type of immigration status at some point in the future, the best advice is to not leave without a travel document. It will ruin your immigration case, all right? And if you have any doubt or question, or if you want to talk through your situation, talk it through with a lawyer who knows what they're doing before you intend to leave, before you ever leave the U.S. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much for being here. I'm Otis Landerholm. I'm your host here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Let me get into some questions that I've received here. So the first one that I see, let me see it. It comes from Anastasio, all right? So Anastasio, thank you for asking your question. You ask, if I was deported for a felony and at the time, let's see, if I was deported for a felony and at the, there's a word missing there, Anastasio, let me see. Is there a way to get a pardon? There we go. Is there a way to get a pardon even if I have one re-entry? Okay, well, the way it works is if you are deported and then you re-enter, it's a permanent bar. Okay, so that creates a permanent bar. Nonetheless, Anastasio, the best advice would be, hey, let's request all your records. Let's at least request all your records so that we can give you good advice about it, see what really happened there, see if there's a way to maybe, you know, sometimes pardons can help the situation, but in your fact pattern, the real problem won't be, I mean, the felony is a serious problem, yes, but the other problem that now sounds like you have is you left and then triggered a permanent bar for unlawfully re-entering. And so that's not fixable, even with a pardon. And so that's one detail. But nonetheless, Anastasio, like, thank you for asking your question. There are still some ways to do it. U-Visa is the number one way, because U-Visas can waive these things if you're eligible for them. But none of the options of doing that are easy. But it starts with requesting all your records and doing a full analysis of them. Okay? The last question that I've received today comes from Ivan. So Ivan, thank you so much for your question. You say, I overstayed my visa 8 years ago. Right now I have TPS. I'm from the Ukraine. And I have advanced parole. Can I safely travel outside to the Dominican Republic to see my friends or family and then come back to the USA? So the truth is, based on what you've said here, Ivan, first of all, thank you so much for asking your question and thank you for being here. Based on what you're telling me right here, yes, you're free. You can do it. All right. You've got TPS through Ukraine, okay, and you've won advanced parole. All right. And so the best advice would be talk to your lawyer who helped you do your advanced parole. Make sure that that advanced parole request was done correctly. But, you know, if it was done correctly, and assuming that it was, and assuming that there's no problems with your TPS case and things like that, if everything was well done, then yeah, congratulations, you've got your travel document. Make sure that your traveling and re-entering is before the expiration of that advanced parole date. You should be fine. Okay? You should be fine. All right, those are the questions that I've got. So, Anastasio, thank you for asking your question. I appreciate it. Ivan, thank you for asking your question, and best of luck with your trip. Okay? Ina, I see you here on Instagram. Everybody on Facebook, I see you. Hello. Everybody on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If this was useful, please give us a thumbs up in YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. And if you want additional updates and news and things like that, hit that notifications bell and we can get you additional updates. And you can be notified when we upload additional updates and news to our YouTube channel. If you have an immigration case, please give us a call. We are here to help, and we would love to help. And in the meantime, happy holidays to everybody. All right, have a great weekend. Thank you all so much for being here. Ivan, I see that. Very good. You should be good. You should be good. All right, as long as it was done well, done correctly, you should be good to go. I wish you the best of luck with your trip. All right, enjoy Dominican Republic. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year's. Thanks, everyone. All right, we'll do this in Spanish in just a moment. Take care. Bye-bye.